Hey, LinkedIn Network, we've got our boss back on here, Matt Morris. And here's the reason I brought this guy back on, because there's not very many people that can really break down what it is like to have a half a dozen or more military veterans right in the mix of their transitioning process. Where's their mindset? Where's the emotional transition? How are they processing all the opportunities and information that's coming their way? And so I've been asking Matt kind of what his philosophy is on this, what he could share with us. So this is for the employers. This is definitely for the transitioning military folks, those that have already transitioned and are going to kind of understand what he's seen through his unique perspective. Now, Matt's not a veteran, but he is probably one of these people that I would consider one of the best leaders I've been able to work with. And that's not to blow smoke. That's to hopefully provide clout as to why I would ask these questions of him and I would value it so much. So, Matt, I wanted to bring you on here to talk to us about this veteran roller coaster, as you and I have coined it a little bit, of what it's like to have several retiree career military people move into your organization and what you have seen since you've brought them on. So thanks for taking a few minutes.
Well, one of the first things I would say right off the bat, before I started with Fusion Cell in my 20 plus years of being in the recruiting world, not that I wouldn't have, but that labor pool, it just wasn't part of the strategy of some of the companies we have, part of the country we were in. It just didn't lend to it. So there was no book for this. There was no years of experience. And when we launched Fusion Cell, we made a very concentrated decision to say, we're going to build this company on the backs of veterans because we felt it was a very important part of how we would be effective. I was able to validate a lot of the things that we thought we would find in those sort of employees with what we brought to Fusion Cell. So it was a great experience, but to your point, there were some tough parts in there for sure. I kind of saw that first phase as the mustache stage. We have males and females, but the first thing they do is they grow that mustache. And I would ask the question, so yeah, what's going on with the facial hair? And it was, well, I've been told to shave and have to shave every morning for the last 20 years, and I'm not shaving anymore, right? It's like an elation. You can see just the joy in being able to make choices, right? Being able to decide where they live, right? Something's never happened. So you have to recognize there's a lot of things going on in their own personal world and life where they're feeling free. They're wanting to flex some muscles, and you have to let them. You have to let them in those first 3-6 months, somewhere in that ballpark. And they're also going through things, in a lot of cases, at home. They're living at home, a lot of them, where they haven't been, or their family knows that they're not going anywhere. So there's a lot of changes that are happening right in that early stage for sure.
If you can make it through this phase that you talked about, this mustache phase, what comes next, Matt? So you've been through this with all of us. And so we come out of this mustache phase, and what do you see there?
Then I see some doubt. And it can happen in very small ways, or very what I would see as somewhat simple business process where the veteran, it's totally uncharted territory for them, right? And I found myself, and I think this was helpful, I would stop myself to say, well, how do you guys do it, right? And a lot of times the answer was, well, we do things the same way. But a lot of times it was, well, we don't. So there was a little bit of bending that I could do on my side, but the first time where they feel really strongly about something and they may get stopped in their tracks because it's not really applicable in the civilian world, that's when they stop and they say, oh, wait a minute. And then they start to maybe overthink other things as well. But well, what else do I not know? What else do I not see? Because they start to see some of these other areas that maybe don't seem so evident and don't seem so applicable to things that they've done in their 5, 10, 15, 20 years in the military.
Mustache phase to doubt. And you can make a couple decisions there. You can run from it, or you can embrace the lessons that come with that. Thank goodness I had several phases, I think, of doubt. But doubt isn't the only thing that came up with me in particular, and maybe you've seen this with others, but I think trust was another thing that popped up. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that was next milestone maybe in here, right? That as I'm starting to run through with some of the employees, I'm also starting to realize that there were some trust factors, right? The military is a very regimented and a very hierarchical organization, right? And I started to learn that as many good leaders as a lot of the folks on our team has had, they had some really not great ones as well. And there were some scars that have been left by some of those leaders. If you're going to be in an organization like that over a course of a couple decades, some of those scars are pretty deep. And a lot of those are seated in trust. So trust was a big thing that we had to establish with each other, but also within the organization and with myself, to be honest with you.